Oh man. Share content, they said, Vaughn. Share content, they said. All right. Enough of all this. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever part of the day this video chooses to reach you. Hope you're feeling well. I hope you're feeling fine. I hope you're feeling blessed. I realize that you are blessed. It is I, Vaughn P, the political crash out. Was having a little technical difficulties there trying to get one of my streams set up. One of the streams did not want to work. So I spent a few moments trying to figure it out. But ultimately, fuck it. The show must go on. One monkey don't stop no show. Thank you all for tuning in, no matter which stream you are on. All right, so let's get into today's stream. It ain't gonna be a whole lot of shit going on because right now the thing that dominates the news stream is the war in Iran, which I'm watching Al Jazeera. They're having press conferences with some of the guys from the surrounding areas, Saudi Arabia, most notably. Excuse me. Just gave a guys from Saudi Arabia just gave a press conference basically saying, "Hey, if Iran feels as if we can't defend ourselves, we will defend ourselves." They're sadly mistaken, but they also said that they feel as if the situation between Iran and the United States and Israel is separate from whatever they got going on between them and Iran. They basically telling Iran like, "Hey, leave us the fuck out of it. Don't hit our shit." You know what I'm saying? Hit they shit. So at this point, US gonna fight this on its own. But before I get into all that, well, I'm already on it. So let's stay on it. There is no real updates to this fucking war going on. I really wanted to do this stream today to do a focus on the Florida legislative session. But before I get into that, I just go ahead and give a brief update of the Iran Israel USA war. Ain't no real updates. We got there's conflicting reports of how many U.S. service members are injured or dead because of this. Last week, when I was doing some looking around and reading up on this, there was reports coming out of the Middle East that said there was hundreds of U.S. service members that were hurt or killed because of this. I'm talking about like over 500. But according to what we've been told, it's only like 150, 100 something like that. This fucking light. There we go. Adapt the lighting. But yeah, our own Department of Justice, it's gonna be Department of Justice, it's gonna be Department of Homeland Security or Department of War, Department of Defense, whatever the fuck you want to refer to my motherfucker's ass. I always keep a firearm close to me. But they've said only like 150 people have been hurt because of this, but there could be more. Our own media won't report the real happiness is going on, but if you go on TikTok or YouTube on a nightly basis and just look up, Google or look up Iran right now or Israel right now, you'll see live videos of people that are on the ground, not necessarily reporters, but people that have been just caught up in the conflict, putting their own videos out there saying, hey, this is what's going on in the ground in Israel. Hey, this is what's going on the ground in Iran. So those reports are a lot more accurate than what we're seeing come from our own media outlets. And unfortunately, there's a big difference in what we're seeing on those videos and what we're seeing on news videos. Make no mistake about it. Iran, as well as Israel, are burnt to a crisp right now. They are destroyed. There are large parts of both of those areas that are just rubble right now. I'm not even joking. At this point, Iran is literally just sending rockets that can just divide up into like 200 little bombs and just trying to cause as much destruction and damage as it possibly can. Israel is over there trying to quote unquote have strategic strikes, but as these guys are saying on these interviews, they ain't stopping no show. This thing is still going. Unfortunately, it's costing us U.S. taxpayers a whole lot of money. The Strait of Hormuz is still closed. United States of America is asking for help, but when I say the Strait of Hormuz, when I say the Strait of Hormuz is closed, it's really just closed to the United States and Israel. The rest of the world's boats are getting through, y'all. That's what our media isn't telling us. The rest of the world's boats are getting through. So that's why when Trump is saying, hey, I want the rest of the countries, the rest of the world to come to our aid to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, they're like, I ain't really got shit to do with that. My boat's getting through there. What the fuck am I going over there? Fuck up some shit. Then my boats ain't gonna get through there. Like, you want me to be in your situation where your boats can't get through? Because if I come help you, then my boats can't get through. But my boat's getting through. And that's really what's happening. Our media, unfortunately, doesn't report stuff like that. And it's a travesty because they bent the knee to Donald Trump and his pressure. As you can remember, when he first got into office, he had that whole situation with Jimmy Kimmel, ABC, and a whole bunch of other news outlets, and they ended up bending the knee, paying a whole lot of money. So if news and media outlets don't want to get that type of treatment right now, they're going to bend the knee. And they're not going to report the real that's going on over there. So that's why media outlets like Al Jazeera and BBC are very important, because they are showing us what's going on over there, and they don't have no quarrels about it. Like, look, Iran strikes Israel, occupied West Bank, at least 4 people killed. Oh God, they're not talking about this type of stuff on the news.
In the occupied West Bank, 3 women were killed by rocket fragments in a town near Hebron. Israel's launched strikes targeting Iran's navy.
Yeah.
Attacks have been reported in Bandar Anzali, that's a port city in northern Iran in the Caspian Sea. Israel's military says it's the first time
they're not showing this type of stuff on American media.
Reporting several Iranian naval vessels were targeted in the strikes.
They just showed two clips, one in Iran, one in Israel. Both of them fucked up. Both of them places are just fucked completely up. Don't get it confused. Israel is not in a better position right now. The only better position they have is that they've not lost Benjamin Netanyahu, and Iran has already lost their one leader. So they got a 1 up. But if you count the losses, then they kind of like 2-2, because Iran killed 2 very important cabinet members from Israel, and then Israel killed 2 very important members of like the ruling party or whatever they want to call that shit in Iran. So the really only difference is that they killed the supreme leader on first strike, and they haven't been able to knock off Netanyahu. So, but both their homelands are fucking just destroyed. And this shit is costing us a lot of money, because like I said before, our ships in the United States are not getting through. So our oil prices are just gone up. Like it's fucking crazy. Yeah, but that's the latest with the war. Don't be confused. Don't get too caught up into this shit because unfortunately, the Republicans in Congress are complicit with all this shit, so they're not going to try and do anything to rein in the war powers or anything that Trump is doing that's illegal. Because don't get confused, we are in an illegal war right now, ladies and gentlemen. This is an illegal conflict. That's the other part of it. That other part of the reason why a lot of the other world's powers won't get involved. Korea. Was it no, not China. No, Korea has even said they was on record even saying, "Hey, them getting involved, sending ships, is a violation of their own laws because they're not under attack. So why are they going to send their navy somewhere to do damage or create conflict when they're not under war? So that's a violation of their own laws. So it was like it's not even that simple for them to just like, oh, well, let's go ahead and go. That's a violation of their laws." And I'm pretty sure other countries, if they're not under direct attack, they're not going to send their military anywhere to just do no arbitrary shit anyways. So the war is the war. Speaking of Trump, this motherfucker appointed Senator Markwayne Mullin to replace Kristi Noem as the director of Homeland Security. I said some content before all this shit happened. After the election, when I did a breakdown of every last cabinet member that Trump appointed, give you the background and who they are, what's the ins and outs. So I feel like I need to do the same with Senator Markwayne Mullin because he's the new person that's being said to lead the Department of Homeland Security. Now, when I did that original content, I said Kristi Noem had fucked her way into this position. That sounded harsh, but that's reality of the situation. Kristi Noem was married, and she was having an affair with a very powerful Trump associate, and she ended up getting a job because of it. And that affair became very public. Some in Washington say it was the worst kept affair in history. It's still going on today. So those of you that wonder how Kristi Noem, the Ice Barbie, got her job, is because it wasn't who she knew, it's who she was fucking, literally. Feel how you want to feel about that shit. That's how that shit went down. So Senator Markwayne Mullin is a Oklahoma senator. He's a ex-MMA fighter, and yes, I tried to pull up old MMA fights that this man had, and I could not find any. So please don't get in the chat. I don't know, some of you guys can get in the chat, especially off of Twitter. I'm like, well, yo, what his fight said? We can't find his fight, so I don't know if he can fight or not. But the motherfucker did challenge the Teamsters president to a fight. So let's take a look at that real quick. This shit was funny.
Sir, I wish you was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company. Myself and my wife was running the office because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours. Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be.
This is
Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Now, mind you, look at this, the Teamsters president. Mind you, the Teamsters is historically known for having guys that are mob adjacent running it. Just keep that in mind. Look at this motherfucker here. Does he not look like he knows a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy? Like, listen to how he talking to him. He real calm. Like, what's up, big guy? Come on. What you gonna do, big guy? Come on. What's up? What's up? Come at me. Come on. Come at me, bro. Like, this motherfucker, like, this shit is crazy. But this is him, the president of the Teamsters, and a sitting U.S. senator.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution, every
Hold it. No, sit down. Sit down. Look at you. You know, you're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Sit down,
United
please.
States
All right.
Senator.
Can I respond? Mr.
Hold
Chairman?
it.
Bernie Sanders had to remind him, hey, you're a United States Senator.
Hold it. If
Hold
we
on.
can, no,
This is
I have
what
the
he
mic.
said.
I'm sorry.
This is
Hold
what
it.
he said.
You'll have your time.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Oh, no, you can't.
Sir, I wish you was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company.
So Senator Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma is a fiery individual, to say the least. Considering under Ice Barbie, we've seen multiple U.S. citizens end up unalived at the hands of ICE. Ice Barbie was not a former MMA fighter. Ice Barbie did not try and fight the presidents of the Teamsters in a Senate hearing. Can you imagine what the leadership style would be like for ICE under this individual? Markwayne Mullin is not the individual that we need directing the Department of Homeland Security. We just don't. He is not. No weather, temperament, and he doesn't have any military service. Ice Barbie didn't either. I don't know why we had all this fight against quote unquote DEI under the guise of just people not getting jobs that they were not qualified for, just to see a bunch of mediocre ass white men ruining America. All right, what makes Markwayne Mullin capable of running the Department of Homeland Security? I have no fucking clue. None whatsoever. We need to vote, man. We gotta vote. We gotta fucking vote, y'all. Like, this shit is like sickening at this point. I'm tired of seeing we went from seeing people say, I'm tired of seeing old white men run this country, to now we're seeing mediocre white men run this country. You see, I was okay with some of them old white men running this country as long as them motherfuckers was qualified and knew what the fuck they was doing and didn't drive this car off a cliff. All these mediocre, dumbass white boys and token Negroes that's getting put in place, they are fucking America up. And you need to look no further than Congress. Senator Markwayne Mullin, a motherfucking name, Mark Wayne, y'all. Man named Markwayne Mullin from Oklahoma is a U.S. Senator. And he is up to run the Department of Homeland Security. Mediocre white men are ruining America. They're just ruining America, y'all. Speaking of mediocre white men, I shook my motherfucking bun loose, man, y'all. Hold on, let me get my man bun right, y'all. All right, chat. I'm gonna get my hair done one of these motherfucking days. But it ain't today though. Life be life, and I be ripping and running, and the last thing on my mind be sit down for a couple hours to get my motherfucking hair done. I can sit down for 20, 30 minutes to get lined up. Good, excuse me. But I get my wig did and whatever the fuck I get done. I'm already prepared to get cussed out by my cousin anyways for letting it lock up sometime. So, but yeah, speaking of mediocre ass white men, the Florida legislative update. Let's talk about that. The Florida legislative session wrapped up last week, Friday, on the 13th. It was, yeah, Friday the 13th. The legislative session wrapped up. this? How do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? There she blows. Let's switch the screenage because I need a better view. Almost clicked on something by accident, y'all. But yeah, the Florida legislative session wrapped up on Friday the 13th. And for those that are unaware, our Florida legislature literally has one job when they go to session. For 60 days, 2 months, they have one job only. And that's to come together and figure out the budget for the state of Florida for the next fiscal year, or the next year, rather, whatever you want to refer to it as. These motherfuckers didn't do that, y'all. For the second year in a row, our Republican-led legislature could not get their shit together enough to pass a budget. Although the House and the Senate's version of the budget are not just astronomically off, we'll get into the figures in a few. They had 60 days to come together and figure out a budget. So now they're going to come back for another special session in the middle of April to pass a budget. The budget is the biggest thing that we want to focus on when it comes to session, but the other thing that we want to focus on when it comes to session is all the bills and laws that get passed. Unfortunately, some of the things that we needed to get done in Florida didn't get done, and unfortunately, some of the things that we didn't want to get done got done. I'm gonna bust y'all bubble, just jump off the cliff right now and tell y'all right now, property taxes is going to still be here. Property taxes stalled. The conversation between property tax elimination, the conversation of property tax elimination stalled in the state of Florida, and I am glad it did. I don't want to get into another tirade of why property taxes are important, because I've done enough content on it, both on stream and individual just clips, just run my fucking mouth. And I've talked about it plenty of fucking times to plenty enough people. So if you got an idea of, if you want to know why I think that property taxes need to be kept in the state of Florida, scroll through any of my previous content and look at that shit, because my stance is not changing. It's not going to change. And if you feel a certain type of way, just leave a comment on that post and I'll get back to you. I do respond to all my comments eventually. I won't sit there and say I immediately respond to it, but I eventually get back to it. But property tax elimination in the state of Florida ceased. It did not go any further than just some fucking just pipe dream conversations that served as a distraction to all the shit that we got going on across the water. But let's get into some of the other things that did pass. One of the biggest things that did pass that's sitting on the governor's desk, that's just pressing on the top, just on the front of my mind to get to, is Florida. Yeah, we Florida man gonna be Florida man. We passed our own Florida version of the SAVE Act, y'all. So at one point in time, all of these documents here were considered acceptable to vote. Your driver's license, Florida identification card, a U.S. passport, a debit or ID card. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I never always agreed with this one. This was always one I was just scratching my head with, but whatever. Military ID, student identification, retirement center identification, neighborhood association identification, public assistant identification, veteran health identification card issued by the United States Department of Veteran Affairs, license to carry concealed weapons or firearm issued pursuant to employee identification card issued by any branch of department, agency, or entity of the federal government, of the state or county, or a municipality. So there's a lot of different documents you could produce to vote. With Florida's version of the SAVE Act, it's actually, I got it right here in my notes here. Let me get my notes right up here. It's scroll. Wait a minute. Where's the motherfucker at? Let's see. House Bill 991 takes effect on January 1st, 2027. Well, that's right, next year. And Senate Bill 1334 takes effect on July of 2026, meaning this year. So we got new voting requirements that basically say if you don't have a way to prove your citizenship, a document that proves your citizenship. See, the documents that are listed on screen, most of them do not prove your citizenship. So they won't be able to be used again to be able to get you to vote. Just the sad and fucked up way to just say it. If the document does not prove your citizenship, number one, you ain't gonna be able to vote. So that's a real Florida. That's a real ID. One of those ID cards that, or real ID, or real driver's license. One that has that little star on it that indicates that you are a citizen. You shows your documents and you know you're legally here. Your passport. It's a handful of documents that you can produce. Your birth certificate. Now, when it comes to birth certificate, here's what's going to give a lot of people a lot of heartache in the state of Florida. If you're married or you had a name change and your birth certificate has a different name than your ID, you're going to have to show a whole lot more documents. You're going to have to basically get your wedding, your marriage certificate. You're going to have to show like every fucking thing. You're going to have to show the process between that connects you and that name change and why that name change happens. And it's basically going to create a big ass headache for individuals to register to vote in the state of Florida. Another thing that is new that I actually just was made aware of last night on a conference call, because I was going to go live last night, but I got stuck on a damn conference call. Shout out to my community connections. They always send me all types of text messages, emails. Hey, jump on this. Hey, jump on that. Hey, you should get on this. Hey, can you speak on that? Hey, can you speak? Sometimes I'd be like, God damn it, man. Can I just sit back? Like, shit. Like, my job is to talk to motherfuckers all day. But I was on the call last night, and the supervisor of elections office noted that if you basically had a previous vote by mail election with them in their system, that shit is wiped out. You got to go back and do that shit all over again. Sorry. That's the short of it. I won't get into why, but you basically got to go check right now. If you vote by mail, you got to go get that shit reset up. Period. If you got a new driver's license, I got a new driver's license this year with a brand new ID number. And I just had started renewing that last fucking ID number. And I got a new ID number on my driver's license. Guess what I got to do? I got to update the voter registration with my new driver's license number so that I can use my driver's license as an identification to vote. Because when I go to use my driver's license as identification to vote, and I show them my new driver's license, and they look at the information, they're going to have my old driver's license number on their documents. They're not going to automatically have my new driver's license number. So I got to go update them with my new driver's license information and re-elect to vote by mail. So if you're not up on that type of stuff, type of information, and you wait until election time to try and get up on that type of information and get those type of changes done, you might be ass out of luck. Just being honest with you. So now's the time to get active on that type of stuff, because session just passed. We got some of this stuff is going into effect in June. Some of the stuff is going into effect in January of next year. You got to be prepared right now. Florida legislative session, when they come back in April, they're going to hammer out a few fine points of the budget, but they've already, like I said, they got the budget they're different. They're not that far off in the budget. So they're not going to take too long to get this budget hammered out. And God knows what else they're going to try and squeeze in when they go back to hammer out this budget. So if you think these types of changes like this are rare, no, they happen all the fucking time because people are not paying attention. And if you think I say that lightly, the whole reason that Kristi Noem got replaced, and they were talking about, I gave that whole synopsis of who Markwayne Mullin is because people were outraged at the Department of Homeland Security's actions, and they were paying attention. They were speaking out. They were raging out. When you got members of Congress telling the White House, "Hey, I'm getting 200 or 300 phone calls a day from my constituents because of all this ICE bullshit," they gotta do something because they know, hey, they're on to us. They're paying attention. So we gotta make some changes. So that's why Kristi Noem got fired, because people are paying attention and people are taking action. Excuse me. So if you don't like these changes that have been going on, you need to take action. So understand, while we did not get a budget passed, state of Florida did pass brand new voting requirements, proof of voter requirements. So most of the shit that you see on that screen right there, any of it that does not prove your citizenship cannot be used anymore. That's the long and short of it. We can argue about it till the cows come home, but that's what it is. Damn, I fucked up and been neglecting my chat, y'all. Pardon me, y'all. You know I love y'all. Let's see. Trump's Island enjoyer. I love my motherfucking chat. Goddamn Twitch, I love y'all. I don't know if I love Twitch just more so because of some of the names that you motherfuckers have, or just some of the engagement and comments y'all leave. I can always leave to the Twitch fam to just have some wild shit just out there, either their name or just the comment. All right, so Trump Island enjoyer said, I heard that they want to make it so you have to show your mom's birth certificate too. I've not heard anything about you having to show your mother or any other family members information or documentation. But you do have to show, if you had a change of a name, you have to show the process in which that name change occurred. It on the surface, it does sound like a simple process. I won't sit here and say my initial thought was like, well, you just got to, but then I had to really think about it. A lot of people, for whatever reasons, they lose track of documents. They don't have access to them. And it's easy to say, well, people need to just keep track of their shit, but it's also something real to say shit happens. And people go through things. People move. People have fucking catastrophic situations like fires and floods and all type of other bullshit. And you lose things. So to just say, you know, people just to keep up with their shit, we got to also recognize, if we're going to say that, we got to also recognize that shit does happen. And there's a lot of things that can prevent people from retaining these documents. So my bigger question is, why do we want to put all these hurdles in the way of voting in a place where we've not seen rampant voter what's that shit called, voter fraud? I had one blank here, my bad. That's why I laughed. But yeah, so like I said, one of the things that we need to be focused on now is being prepared for these changes to the voter requirements, the voter identification requirements. Fuck what happens with the SAVE Act, y'all. Whatever happens with the SAVE Act on the federal level is going to happen. We got the SAVE Act in Florida right now. Don't focus on the federal level and overlook that right now in the state of Florida. You basically got to abide by the SAVE Act right now. You might as well start getting these documents in order. I'm a fighter, y'all, and I'm not one to try and say just give up and give in, but I also am a realist, and I understand the situation at hand and where we're at. And you can do both. You can fight and you can do what you gotta do to make shit happen. All right, so let's get back to some of the Florida legislative updates because there are some good things that I like that passed. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. I ain't gonna bore y'all with all this mumbo stuff. Where's that bill? I liked it. Child care and early learning. Senate Bill 1690 creates the the Florida Child Care Fund to expand access to early learning and child care. It also creates a program to ensure statewide alignment of training, trainer approval, and competencies based on assessments for early learning professionals. Besides the direct benefit to children, tax rights research has shown the negative economic impact of insufficient access to child care. The reason why I like SB 1690, transparent moment, y'all. I worked in social services my entire professional career, and I see the impact of what child care means to a person's day-to-day life. Giving a person the ability to go out there and make a living for themselves is very important. And one of the biggest barriers to that in the state of Florida is child care. There are people that want to work jobs that will pay them a certain salary, but they can't because the hours just won't mix well with them having to, be a parent. So when we see the state of Florida legislature, making moves to try and help those individuals, help those family members, I applaud them. I'm gonna talk shit about a lot of shit that these motherfuckers do, but when they do something right, I'm gonna give them a pat on the back. I like it. 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 Not everything that they did I like, but that particular thing I really do stand behind. And like I said, when they do something right, I'm gonna get behind them. Let's get something else in here. Let's see. Data centers. This is a hot button topic, y'all. SB 484 begins regulation of the exploding data center industry, including shielding residents and businesses from paying for some of the high utility costs these centers demand. I pray to God this happens because we got other bills that have gone on here, and we got this breakdown here about different sections. So if you got something in the chat you particularly want to know about, we can get to it. But data centers is something that's big in the state of Florida, and we got them coming about left and right. And there's some regulations that are coming about that are going to shield certain parts of the data center early planning process from residents, meaning that you could possibly have a data center pop up in your community and not realize it's going to be there until like it's about to open. So to understand that we got competing legislation going on right now, it just speaks to how vague our Florida Republican-led legislature goes. Some of this stuff is for show, and some of this stuff really is going to impact our life in a real fucked up way, and some is going to impact us in a beneficial way. That's why I get burnt out sometimes. I get burnt out sometimes, like paying attention to all this shit, because you see it happening. And it's like, what the fuck? What the fuck? If only they had voted this way. We had a Democrat win the mayoral race in Boca by one fucking vote, y'all. One vote. Voting is so important, y'all. So important. But as I said before, property taxes in the state of Florida died. One thing that is really near and dear to me is schools. I'm all for economic development, health and age, and all that stuff. Um, for disclosure, I'm not gonna touch on nothing. A certain. I'm gonna put it like this: if you see me stay away from certain topics, just know I got a certain reason to stay away from certain topics, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Education. Florida they did a lot of good things and passed a lot of good bills in the state of Florida. One thing I did not see passed that we need to see passed in the state of Florida is a comprehensive overhaul of our school voucher program. I've made previous content about this program before. I won't sit here and say all charter schools and private schools are shit or bad or horrible, because they're not. There's a lot that do it good. The St. Thomas's, the Archbishop McCarthy's, the shit that's up there in Boca. I forget the motherfucking name too. But there's a lot that do it good. But there's a lot that are fucking horrible. And they're hiding behind the bigger name, better schools in the charter school environment. And I'm full disclosure. I'm talking this shit. Let me just put this out into the universe now. Because when I do it, I don't want people talking shit. Like, hey, you're talking shit about charter schools. I'm going to open me a charter school, y'all. My ultimate plan is to either A, open a charter school and start to benefit financially like a lot of these other motherfuckers are doing, and then take that money and reinvest it in the community. Or B, hear me out, I jump in the charter school game, start teaching these kids the real shit about African American history, and force them to do a comprehensive overhaul of the school voucher program. It's a win-win either way. Either way, I'm gonna make some money and save the community, or either B, they're gonna change this motherfucker and our public school system is gonna be safe. So that's a dream I've been having a while. Dream, put that into the universe. Anybody that's in the chat that's feel like they want to get down with that cause, that mission, and feel like it's worthy, holla at your boy. But let's check the chat real quick. Because I damn sure be ignoring the chat sometime. And I do forgive y'all. Please forgive me, y'all, if I leave you in the chat for too long. Let's see, there's a lot of legislation that did not pass. Schools choice scholarship reform. I just told y'all this is severely needed, y'all. This is severely needed because if you look at school choice programs across the nation, it's fucking up the nation's school system all over the place. I'm not going to rail too hard on it right now. And no, I ain't going to say pause because I don't give a fuck about all that shit. But it's something that needs to happen. One of the reasons that I went hard against property tax reform is because I've told people that the same individuals that can give you assistance with your housing, insurance, and all the other things that are ravaging the average Florida taxpayer, they're not giving you help with none of that. They give you help with all that shit, but they say, hey, we could cut property taxes. The one thing that keeps your community good, impacts your whole fucking day-to-day life, your local government, which, by the way, excuse me, there are some provisions that are being fought for to try and weaken the autonomy of local governments. So think about that. Currently, there are moves being made to weaken the autonomy and the standalone nature that local governments have in the state of Florida. Simultaneously, there are conversations to get rid of property taxes in the state of Florida. Property taxes fund the local governments. So on one hand, you want to try and weaken what they can do. Just legally, just put it in law. Hey, you these are your powers, and they're capped at this right here. Basically, kneecap local governments on paper. And then take their funding. The long game explained, ladies and gentlemen. When I talk about these things, people sometimes they think it's far off or far-fetched. When I said before the election, it's not that I don't like Trump, because I really don't give a fuck about him. I know all this bullshit that's coming along with him, and it's going to be bad for the United States of America. Nah, man, that man can't be like that. That man can't be all that. Man, that. If I had $1 for every person that told me something like that, and I know some of y'all hear me, make that little meme or do that little imitation and think I'm talking about you, but understand, you ain't the only motherfucker that told me that shit. I know some of y'all feel like, man, that nigga trying me on camera. No, you ain't the only one. You weren't the only motherfucker that talked like that to me. Be honest with you. So that's why I'm very confident in making doing that little thing, because there's a whole lot of y'all told me that shit. A whole lot. If I had $1 for every motherfucker that told me that shit, I wouldn't be able to pay some bills, but I get, man, listen. Listen, you'd be surprised how many people told me that shit. But we got a lot of long game plays being played out right now in the state of Florida to just weaken us. And this is why voting is so fucking important. I get so passionate about voting, y'all. Like, because when you look at I'm a data-driven dude. I'm a very analytical motherfucker. I literally get paid to think. And sometimes it's hard to turn my brain off. So when I can't, I just look at like political data and shit, numbers and shit. And when you look at the fucking voting numbers, the city of Lauderhill had a referendum vote 2 weeks ago. The turnout percentage was 6%. We got low voting numbers in the United States of America. There was more motherfuckers that didn't vote for Trump in the last election that did vote for Trump. And the motherfucker still won. Think about that. Think about that. There was more motherfuckers that did not vote for Donald Trump than actually did vote for Donald Trump. And this bastard still won a fucking election, y'all. We gotta take voting serious, man. I don't know if it's because of the fucking, let me get away from this goddamn war shit really quick. Wagwan. I'll be looking at news of all over the world, y'all. Like, you got the Jamaican News Network up here. But the Reggae Girls suffer 0-9 defeat to Mexico in the CONCACAF. Damn. God damn, they beat their ass. She got fast with that motherfucker. I'm sorry, I got carried away, y'all. My bad. But voting is very important. Voting is very important because we got different things like this coming out. Like I said, we got legislation that is aimed at weakening the local government while trying to get you on the side of thinking that property taxes being eliminated is a good thing for you, when actually it's a long game play to just gentrify your community even faster. But these same people can give you legislation for housing. They could do rent control. We got rent control in different places in the United States of America. The state of Florida refuses to even entertain the thought of rent control. And for those that don't know, rent control is when rent is capped at a certain dollar amount, can't go over a certain dollar amount by the local government. Our legislature won't even think about that shit. Housing programs. They could dump money. One thing I do give them credit for, they found money to close the gap in funding that was created when the federal government wiped out a whole block of AIDS funding. So there's going to be a large population in the state of Florida that was going to lose out on getting their AIDS medicine and potentially dying. And our legislature, they did find the funds to basically close that gap. So I applaud them for doing that. So just like they could find funds to close that gap for our AIDS residents, they could find money to help with rental control, housing assistance, a lot of different things that they could do, but they won't. They just won't. And a lot of that shit is spurred on by our governor. I'm so happy DeSantis gets out of here next year. Jesus, peace. That's so fire. There's no fucking way. Voting is important, y'all. I'm gonna do some live streaming and some content breaking down the candidates for the state of Florida governor's race. It's something that's been on my mind to do for a while now, but I wanted the full race to get filled up because at the time when I originally talked about it, there was it was like 6 or 7 people that were publicly known. A week later, it was like 30. I haven't got called out by Rodney Glover. Like he's one of the candidates. He's like, you only called out the ones because they're giving you money. I was like, motherfucker, I work for a living. Who the fuck are you talking to? Like, I don't take no money from no motherfucking political nobody. Like, I work. The fuck? Like it says in my whole bio, I create content. I am not a content creator. Get the fuck out of here with all that shit. But he's a cool dude. So I'm gonna do some content on giving you more information on him and some of the other candidates for governor. Some of the candidates are long shots. Some of the candidates are, you like, dang, they might get it. But we need to vote because things like housing assistance can be changed just by the governor saying, hey, I want this done. Because right now, that's basically what's going on. Government efficiency and accountability. This is like that Doge shit. Right now, the biggest thing I want to get to out of that is there is legislation going through that is trying to combat diversity, equity, and DEI, all that shit. I'm never one to be out there waving the DEI flag, just championing it. But I do understand the benefit of it. And what I can say is that I've seen on the federal level what DEI being wiped out looks like. It looks like a bunch of mediocre white men being put in positions that they don't qualify for and that they're fucking up. We already have that in the state of Florida. And if they put together a legislative whatever to successfully get rid of anything, and when I say like DEI, I mean anything black, brown, cultural, sex-based, race-based, religion-based. Like the way this bill was originally, some of this legislation was originally written, you couldn't even celebrate St. Patrick's Day, y'all. That's how vague some of this shit is because they're not writing it pinpoint accurate to say, hey, you can't say black, you can't say this. They're writing it in a way that is vague and it's just catching everything. Some of the shit is unintentional, some of the shit is fully intentional. But voting is important, y'all. Let me look at my notepad really quick so I can reset and make sure I'm covering some of the shit I wanted to cover. We got AI regulation. It stalled. Ron DeSantis wants us to be like leaders in the nation in AI, but Florida man gonna be Florida man. I'm gonna get heck fleck for this, but this one I'm gonna close at. You anti-vaxxers still gotta take y'all shots. Yeah, I said that. All that push for anti-vax shit, repealing of the childhood vaccination schedule in the state of Florida. On the federal level, that shit got squashed. On the state level, that shit getting squashed. And I'm gonna continue to say, I'm tired of hearing grown-ass adults that got these vaccines just pulsing through their bodies, all of a sudden say vaccines is bad. Y'all killing the kids, y'all. Y'all are killing the fucking kids. That's all that's happening. And I'm glad the whole vaccine changes that they were trying to put forward fucking failed. Motherfuckers. But that's pretty much all I wanted to jump on chat today and touch on, y'all. Voila. Make sure I hit my checklist because there's not a lot going on in the news cycle. I do a real quick rundown, real quick on my news section here. See if it's something else I ain't caught up. See if something that's caught on before we get off here. Qatari State Energy Corporation says extensive damage reported at Ross Life in Industry City. See, our news ain't saying that shit. I love C-SPAN, but I just don't want to be lied to right now, man.
Last year, the CIA increased its foreign intelligence reporting by 25%. This year, the CIA is on track to hire and deploy more officers than at any point in the last quarter century. While I'm greatly encouraged by progress, more remains to be done. We must always equip our intelligence personnel with the tool.
They're trying to blow smoke up everybody's ass behind this war, but they've not given any credible threats. The motherfuckers over there across that water been saying death to Americans since before I was born. And they're going to keep saying that shit past we gone. That's not an imminent threat. That's not an imminent threat. This whole situation is sounding like George Bush's weapons of mass destruction to me all over again. But hey, what the fuck can you expect from Republicans? Peace. Love you guys.